Great to have you all here. Let me say a few things, how this conference came into existence. It is the second year we are having the Trust course here at the American University of Armenia. And last year we had very successful year with excellent projects by the students that led to the natural desire to share them with the broader audience. And this year, the class agreed and decided to go ahead with this conference named Navigating Trust 2022. And I want to mention especially the core team that organized this, Susanna, Annie, Gevorg, Lena, and Rosa, and thank them. We will be talking today with three teams and Armen Inants, who will start on the topic of artificial intelligence, who will cover the topics of artificial intelligence and business. I want to say and welcome Armen Inants and say that he has a doctorate, Ph.D. from the University of Grenoble, France, in artificial intelligence, and a bachelor and master's degree in mathematics from Yerevan State University, and also a second master's degree in management of business and innovation and technology from the Athens Information Technology in Athens, Greece. He is a professional with a diverse skill set ranging from machine learning to Symbolic AI, from conducting research and publishing in top venues to developing innovative software. He has taught at the American University of Armenia and worked as a manager on international projects related to artificial intelligence. Currently works as a senior AI/ML research engineer at Morningstar, Paris, France. I also want to add that Dr. Armen Inants will speak in English, but thanks to the support of 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗲 and thanks to 𝗕𝗲𝗀𝗲𝗁𝗲 and Arpine, it will be translated simultaneously to Armenian. Welcome, Dr. Inants.
Okay, hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction, Fanis. It's really a great pleasure to be part of this event. And thank you for inviting me to speak on this conference. The topic of my talk, the title is "In AI We Trust?" ? So it's a yes/no question. And in case if you are impatient and want to know what's my take on it, the short answer is no. So the intrigue is gone, and I could have just stopped here and spare you some 15 minutes, but I'll try to elaborate a bit more. We interact with artificial intelligence every day when we use digital assistants like Siri, when we send emails and get suggestions on how to complete the sentence, when we enjoy autonomous driving, and this concerns lucky owners of Tesla cars or similar. I don't know if there are other cars with full autopilots. Even when we submit a job application, in many cases, a lot of companies use some smart algorithms to do pre-screening and choose the right candidates. So if in some cases, like a spam filter or recommender system, AI cannot really harm us, in some other cases, like self-driving car, its failure may cost us a life. In cases like computer-aided or AI-aided recruitment, the decision taken by AI may seriously affect our lives. So AI is becoming an increasingly important part of our daily lives, and we should make sure that we know very well what we're dealing with. AI is not magic. It's just a set of engineering techniques and algorithms with their strengths and weaknesses and limitations. And it's up to us to decide what we make of it, how to use it properly, and whether to trust it with our lives, our health, and important decision making. So having said that, we should acknowledge that there is a huge gap between the public perception of AI and actual technological capabilities. For one thing, humans are quick to attribute human-like properties to systems that behave superficially similar to us. We can't help but think in cognitive terms about machines, like it thinks that I deleted my file, or it believes something, although the rules that govern this behavior may be very primitive and simple. But this has an evolutionary explanation. Throughout the history of our evolution, we interacted with, we never interacted with other beings using language, using abstractions like ideas, beliefs, and desires than us humans. So we're easily gullible. And one of the early examples of this over-attribution error was a chatbot called 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝗀𝗍, which was created in mid-60s. 𝗚𝗂𝗲𝗀𝗍 convinced a lot of its users that it could actually understand the conversation. But in fact, the way it was built, it didn't do much more than just matching words and echoing the last thing that was said. And when it was lost, it would just resort to some generic sentences like, tell me about your childhood. When you would mention your mother, it would ask to tell you about your family, although it had no idea what a family is and why it matters. So it was just a set of tricks. But despite that, a lot of people were deceived to think that it's intelligent. In 2016, Microsoft launched a project called 𝗬𝗲𝗍, which was yet another chatbot, a bit more advanced. Unlike 𝗚𝗂𝗍𝗀𝗍, it was not just handcrafted. It could learn from conversations. But then a group of nasty users started bombarding 𝗬𝗲𝗍 with hate speech. And the poor thing ended up tweeting posts like racist or sexist posts like, I hate feminists, I hate Jews, etc. So as you can imagine, the project was shut down right away. Probably all of you have heard about a chatbot called Sophia, which was maybe one of the most recent. In 2017, if I remember well, it was granted a citizenship of Saudi Arabia. And a lot of lay people perceive this as a big breakthrough in AI, that Sophia is actually like a real intelligent human being. But in fact, it was not fundamentally different from its predecessors. It was built using handcrafted dialogues and didn't really understand what it is talking about. So what is the actual state of the art, and what are the actual capabilities of modern AI? The central problem is that modern AI is narrow. it is tailored to solve just one kind of problems, with an assumption that the situations that it encounters are not much different from the data it was, from the situation it experienced before. It's suitable for some closed world scenarios, some games with fixed rules like chess or Go, where the rules don't change over centuries, but it's not really suitable for real world scenarios, which have no fixed rules and the possibilities are unlimited. And modern AIs have really big problem with flexibility. They cannot be used in easily, transported to other contexts than that they be created for. Also, when we say modern AI, we understand systems that learn from data. So here the rule of computer science applies: garbage in, garbage out. In other words, an AI system can potentially be as good as the data that was used to train it. AI systems have no idea about the quality or representativeness of data that is being used, or the implicit values that this data expresses. And also they inherit all the biases that come with the data. So one example is a spell checker that corrects a sentence that was supposed to be "Happy birthday, dear Theodore," into "Happy birthday, dead Theodore." So it shows that it has really no idea what it is talking about and what's the meaning of the sentence. In some domains like medicine, this can have really serious consequences. For example, a data set for training a skin cancer prediction system may be tuned toward patients with widescreen, and then it will not perform well on patients with darker color of skin. And similarly, autopilots, they may have problems with detecting pedestrians with darker skin because these pedestrians were not properly represented in the training data set. So the bias in AI, in modern AI, is a big problem. Although there's a lot of effort to solve it, it's not easy to do. One of the reasons, and I think the main reason for this, is that the working of the programs are not transparent. Usually the data is confidential, the programs are proprietary, and the decision-making is a black box. So even the program designers don't know why it decides one way or another. So for a user, it's really a big challenge to question the decision of such an AI system. But then what does it take to create an AI that could adequately cope with real world? Such an AI would need to be able to deal with the problems that are novel and with variations of circumstances that it didn't expect. In contrast with narrow AI, this kind of AI is called broad. Broad AI should be able to adapt flexibly to the real world, which is inherently open-ended. It should be able to build complex chains of reasoning, which modern AI is very bad at. And for doing this, it will probably need to have some background knowledge about the world, about the objects, the people, common sense, etc. Modern AI does not use explicit knowledge. So it's impossible to say, or very hard to say, why it makes right predictions or when it fails. And usually the failures are fixed by trial and error means. So there's no way to actually make a correction in AI's decision making in an efficient way. But then there's another question. When broad AI emerges, would it still be trustworthy? A lot of people fear that such an AI may take over the world, like, you know, science fiction style, and rise up against humans. But actually, the way things are going now, there's no reason to believe this, because we shouldn't we should make difference between intelligence and motivation, and the set of motives that drive aggression in real world are actually absent in AI systems. So there is no reason why we should build emotional states in AI. We build them to perform certain tasks and do what they're assigned to do. And the focus should be to make sure that they're capable of reliably performing the tasks that they're assigned to. So summing up, the AI that we have now is still far from human level intelligence and is not trustworthy. It's not clear how long will it take to reach the next level and have broad AI. Some people are optimistic, like Elon Musk, and he has said many times that Tesla will achieve human level, solve real world AI within a year. But yeah, every time this prediction was inaccurate. Some other people are less optimistic, and they think that we're like Professor Melanie Mitchell claimed that we're 100 Nobel Prize away from human level AI. However, the primary concern now is to have adaptable AI, reliable AI, and explainable AI. These are probably the main and most important directions. But even when we achieve this, that wouldn't be the end of the journey, because rationality is not the only thing we care about. We also care about human values and ethics, and making AI comprehend these things is yet another big challenge. So I should stop here, and I'll be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Armen. Please either raise your hand or send a message with a question. I have a question actually that I want to ask you. But I have this question for a couple of years actually, and it relates to Tesla and driving cars. Tesla. I think a couple of years ago in Los Angeles, there was an accident with a Tesla car that killed someone, and they said the reason that happened is because they were trained to not in city environment. The artificial intelligence was not trained in a city environment. Was trained in a freeway environment. So it didn't realize that there was something coming in a certain, it had a very clear description back then, and it wasn't able to recognize that. And then I was very interested in the fact that, you said that they use, if it's a different color of skin, right? You cannot, because they're trained to drive with certain, primarily with white people than black people, etc. So that means, for example, that this becomes complicated because let's take, a tourist, which is from another country that comes to this country and has totally different skin, or let's say Halloween, that people dress differently and therefore, so there is a variability that may be happening on the data set. And I just want to raise this question: what happens in these situations? How this can be solved? Is it an issue, etc.?
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that's really a big issue that they didn't realize at the beginning in Tesla. But in recent interviews, Elon Musk, he admitted that to have a fully capable autopilot, they need to solve real-world AI problems. So an AI that would behave adequately in this situation should have basic knowledge about the world, because there can be all kinds of situations that are unexpected, unpredictable. For example, there was another situation with the Tesla car owner that came to trust his car's autopilot to the extent that when the car was driving him around the city, it was just doing something else, watching a movie and not paying attention. And this went well for like hundreds of thousands of kilometers. But then at some point, the car encountered a situation which it was not familiar with. There was a white tractor trailer crossing the street, and the car tried to go underneath the trailer, and it killed the passenger. Then there can be a person making a sign with the hands like "don't go there." So if you don't know how to deal with real world situations and have no knowledge about real world common sense, etc., you cannot handle the full range of such situations. So that's why still I think we're far from having a fully capable and reliable autopilot.
One more thing I want to say, complimentary question. Let's assume, because I heard in an interview, Elon Musk said that statistically, artificial intelligence driving is safer. Let's say 1 in 1,000 is killed by humans and 0.8 by artificial intelligence driving. But what comes to my mind is that those accidents and those people that are victims of a car accident by AI most probably will be a segment, will be a specific error someone makes when walking, or have specific profile. So it's kind of a discriminatory issue here, discrimination. The same people die every time because of artificial intelligence. Maybe older people, maybe this, maybe that. So it becomes, and I'm raising this issue, that it may be better statistically, but is it racist in a way?
Yes, it's indeed a big issue, and AI systems have a lot of intrinsic biases that cannot be tracked. So we know about this when it happens, but it's hard to diagnose those systems for the presence of such biases.
Do we have any questions, Dr. Inants? Anyone wants to add something, share a thought?
Yes, I have a question.
Please, Rosa.
Sure.
Yeah, so do you think people don't trust AI because they don't really understand fully how it works? Or do you think it's because there's issues with regards to responsibility? For instance, if, as mentioned before, an accident happens or car crashes, I don't know, robotic arms stop working or whatever. So so what do you think? Is it because of lack of responsibility and legal issues, or is it because people don't understand how it works and so they don't trust AI? What do you think would be the reason why people don't fully trust AI? Would be one question.
I think the reasons can be different. In cases of Tesla, when we hear about these situations that AI really shows, okay, statistically it may perform well, but when it fails in ways that a human would never fail. So this all affects trust. In some other cases, we do trust, like automatic navigation, for example. Computers do pretty well. And even if your intuition tells you that you should take one path, and the system tells you that, okay, there is a traffic jam, you should take another one, we trust. And this comes with experience. So yeah, I think it takes time to build trust. It also depends on our awareness of AI, how it works, what it is capable of, and yeah, its performance, of course.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else wants to contribute or have a question? Okay. Thank you very much, Armen, for sharing this with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.